Hi guys, it's Ben here from the Pride and Villa and I am back for another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about the players that could be or should be leaving Aston Villa in the following transfer window. We obviously covered players that we should be bringing into the transfer window. You really loved that video and I thought we need to counterbalance that and say, well, if we're going to be bringing in players, who's going to be going out? And I've got a list of players here. And I think we may be able to agree on these, but we're going to be having a discussion about that. So if you are going to enjoy this video, please leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow us on our social pages. They'll be hopefully down the interview overlay. But without further ado, let's get started. So, obviously, we've already discussed about players coming in. It's obvious who we should be signing. To me, at least, it's obvious. But, you know, we've got to be talking about players that could be making their way out of the club in the next in the next transfer window, basically. Now, according to reports, it's suggesting that Dean Smith's looking to offload 9 players already. You know, we've already discussed some possible people that could be leaving when I was doing the bringing the players in video, but I've got a list of about 10 to 11 players here who, if I whittle them down, we can probably get to the 9, and I think these are the same 9 that was reported to be leaving Aston Villa. So we're going to jump straight into this. I'm going to start from the goalkeeper's position all the way up to the striker's attacking position. So number 1, I've got Orjan Nyland. Now, this is one of the names that was reported to be leaving. Since his time at Aston Villa this season, he's made 7 appearances, 12 goals conceded, 2 clean sheets this season, which is pretty poor to be fair, but in saying that, he hasn't had many starts. But his career overall here, 35 appearances, 52 goals conceded, 9 clean sheets overall. That's including, you know, considering he's brought in at the start of the January transfer window, the start of the transfer window in the 2018-19 season in the Championship. I've already said this, I don't think we need a goalie personally. I believe you can stick with Nyland and Jota until Heaton is ready. If that is just three or four games, I think that is perfectly fine for me. And I don't really think Nyland's been bad this season. As I said, he's had that good run of form against Leicester, but unfortunately just dipped when we came back from lockdown. And the same with Jota. I think there is still potential with him because he was starting some of the games this season, but he also got injured at Wolves, and we haven't seen him since. But as I said, I don't think we need really another goalie. I can see why people want to bring in Pepe Reina if this is going to be the case. But I don't see why we're going to need it. But in terms of this next player, I do think we'll be leaving. That is Lovre Kalinic. Obviously, he was brought in on January in the 2018-19 season as well, considering I believe it was Nyland was injured as well. Jota was injured. We didn't have a goalkeeper really. And we needed someone basically to fill that position. Kalinic was brought in, I believe it was £8 million from Ghent, however you say it. But in terms of him overall, he's made 18 appearances, 15 goals conceded, 1 clean sheet, and has made 0 appearances this season in the Premier League. That's because he was loaned out to Toulouse in the Ligue 1. Simply put, he's going to go. He's never going to get a place in this team. And I think that's just one we can all agree on there. No need to comment further. We'll now move on to the defensive line. My next pick is James Bree, who's currently just come back from being on loan at Luton Town for the season. Now, I have a bit of admiration for James Bree. I think he can be something in the football world. Admittedly, he's young and just doesn't have enough time with Villa. But he has, for me, the time that he has played, he's shown that there is some potential in him. 28 appearances, 0 goals, assists and clean sheets, though not really offering anything to the team. It's, as I said, I don't think he's going to make his way into the first team, you know, which is a bit of a shame. I think that's going to be the theme with a lot of these players I'm going to be talking about. But I think with someone like James Bree, I think there is something there. You just need to keep working on it. And I think you'll get a really solid fullback out of him. But I just think, unfortunately, he's going to be let go this summer and probably will go back to Luton. Next up, we have James Chess in that centre-half role. Now, obviously, this is a really hard one to say. I think he's going to go simply because he's too old now. He doesn't fit into Dean Smith's style of play, and he hasn't even played for us that lot this season. But in terms of his overall stats for Villa, 126 appearances, 11 goals, 1 assist, 13 yellow cards, and 1 red card. Simply put, he's been a very good servant to us. He was obviously made captain during that 2018-19 season for the first half, and then I believe he was brought back onto Grealish during his return to Derby at home. I think James Chester's been really good for us. It's really nice to see him step up when John Terry left us in 2017-18. It's really nice to see him step up to the role that was requested of him. Although, really, his career has been limited by injury, and that's really the problem with him nowadays. I do believe that James Chester is a really good servant for us, and I believe he'll be an even better servant elsewhere, probably to Stoke City. Next one is going to be a controversial one. I've mentioned this before because I do believe there is some truth to it. I've seen reports suggesting that his house was for sale, so maybe there was a bust up there. This is not one that I believe is going to happen. This is one that I think all the likely could happen. I don't know. Bjorn Engels. Now, obviously, we brought him in the summer for the previous season with 4 other centre-halves, obviously. For me, Bjorn Engels has been... At the start, he was good. He did look really solid with Mings. There was a really good partnership there. Obviously, players are being brought in and now trying to swap out, trying to find, the ideal starting 11 for Smith. And then we go on to Tottenham, and I think that's just really the killing factor for Engels. So I've already said it, it's always been Engels' game to me. But this season, he's made 19 appearances, 1 goal, 1 yellow card, 0 clean sheets, unfortunately. As I said, I'm not sure on this one. I don't believe it's going to happen, considering we probably will be letting go of James Chester. However, it's that reports of his house is up for sale. It's the fact that we haven't seen him play in a very long time for an Aston Villa shirt since the lockdown. So simply, I just don't know what's happened behind the scenes. None of us know what's happened behind the scenes. But I do believe there is a good player in there. I've seen this season, as I said, he had a strong partnership with Mings. He's had really an okay season. And I know stats don't say it all, but for me, he's not been terrible. It's just the Tottenham game I just can't get over with him. So simple, I just don't know what's going to be happening with Bjorn Engels this summer. Next up, this is one that I also couldn't decide because he's been reported he wants to get rid of both of these, but I don't believe he needs to. It's Neil Taylor and Ahmed El Mohamedi. Now, obviously, these both fullbacks. We have Matt Targett, Freddie Gilbert. You can play Konza or House on either side if needed. Ideally, I would like more natural right backs and left backs rather than having to play our centre halves up there. But these was 2 reported names that Smith wanted to offload in the summer. For me, if I had to choose one of them, I'd keep El Mohamedi. I've said this, I think, in a previous video. I think he's probably the most underrated player in our squad. It's just the experience that he brings, that crossing potential. And as defensively, although he's not great, it's just how good he is attacking-wise. And I think compared to Neil Taylor, he's just poor, really sloppy, Neil Taylor. I think the age and the experience has shown with him, and I just don't see really how he gets his place over Target. Sometimes he has, because defensively he's much better than Target, but attacking-wise, Matt Target takes that place. And even sometimes Matt Target's been much better defensively than Taylor. But I do believe that we shouldn't offload both of these players. I think, personally, we should keep El Mohamedi and you can sell Taylor. But it's that idea of, if we're not going to bring in a fullback, then why get rid of these players? Unless, you are bringing in somebody in. So I just don't believe that. I do believe one of these players is going. I can agree on that. The player, I don't know. But for me, I'd be keeping El Mohamedi. So I'm guessing then we're going to be saying goodbye to Neil Taylor. Next up, we move into the midfield. Now, this is a player that I'm almost certain is going to be leaving now, considering our survival in the Premier League. It's Henri Lansbury. Simply, it's a shame. I really do like Henri Lansbury. I think he's so underrated, never given a chance. And I think that's just really the problem with him. You can slate him all you want, but simply put, he's just had no time, to show his talents on the pitch. And I think there is a good, talented player there. It's just he's never given an opportunity because we have so many better players in that position. But sometimes you just got to rotate the squad around. But for Lansbury, 10 appearances this season, 0 goals and assists. Overall, 50 appearances, 2 goals, 8 assists, 7 yellows and 1 red card. Nothing really worth noting about. I believe he came in the 2017-18 season in the summer. And he did look really exciting when he came in, considering he just jumped from one big championship club in Nottingham Forest over to ours. But simply put, it's just not worked out for him. I think he is going to go because I do believe personally we need someone a bit better quality than him and perhaps Horan. Just simply put for rotation wise. But it's a real shame. If we could, I'd love to see Lansbury have more of an opportunity with Aston Villa, but I do believe, I'm almost certain this is a player that's going to be leaving in the summer. Next up, we move on to the wings, the wide midfielders. The first one I've got is Andre Green. Again, similar to Lansbury, similar to some of the other players I'm going to be talking about. Someone that's just not given a chance, really. And I think someone for so young as Andre Green, he could have become something of Aston Villa. He had a really, probably his highest moment with Aston Villa was the 3-3 draw with Sheffield United last season. He was a really good player, and I think he's shown it again, similar to James Bree, spurts of talent here and there, but simply put, he's just never going to get into the first team just because of how much better quality there is. 49 appearances, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 yellow cards. Now, unlike a lot of these players, who I say they will just be shipped out, for me, I believe this is still one for the future. I do believe there is something here. So for me, it would be just the case of you either loan him out for another season, just let him have more experience at the championship if he needs it, and then, depending on that, you can either then get rid of him or just keep him. Or you can sell him on, but insert a buyback clause. So if he does become someone like, Ronaldo, Sancho, Sadio Mane, if he does become that ever-growing talent, we can buy him back and hopefully have something there to be excited about. But I do believe Andre Green is probably looking likely to go. Again, a real shame. I do think he's one for the future, but maybe it's just not for the future of Aston Villa. Next up, another newly fair recruit to the Aston Villa team. The first signee of the 2019-20 season for Aston Villa, it was Jota from Birmingham City. Again, I simply put the same with Lansbury. This is a player that just doesn't get enough talking to, enough of a chance. You've seen the wingers this season, big problem. You know what I mean? Trezeguet's not been good enough. El Ghazi's been probably the worst player of the season for me. And Jota's really one that I think is deserving of so much more of a chance in the Villa team, especially for the performance that he gave at Everton. I think he's just never given enough time and should have been starting some of these games. 14 appearances, 1 goal, 2 assists, 656 minutes this season. Came in for only 2.5 million with a swap of Gary Gardner to Blues. I do believe Jota will be leaving this window. I just don't think he's going to get the opportunity. I don't really understand then the idea that was brought in bringing in by Smith, unless he was simply just rotation. But even then, he still doesn't get the opportunity. Simply put, I do believe he deserves more time because I do think there is a good player there. It's just that better quality is in that position, and I do believe he's going to be going. Something I just do want to note on though is he's willing to stay with the club in January, even though he's receiving offers from Celtic, Fulham, apparently. That shows a lot of dedication, as I said, for a player that doesn't get enough opportunities. For someone that dedicated to the cause, that just shows how much heart he has for this club, even though he's only been here for a couple of, nearly a year now, and came straight from our biggest rivals in Birmingham City. It shows the dedication, the passion he has for this club. Let's just hope that Dean Smith does give him another chance. Next up, I've got Scott Hogan. Again, player that just doesn't get enough love. I really, really feel sorry for Scott Hogan because I must admit, I was a big fan of him. I've always been willing and wanting for him to have a chance in this team, but he's just never come out, and I just don't think he's ever hit the same form as he did at Brentford. 61 appearances, 10 goals, 4 assists, 2 yellow cards, 3,000 plus minutes with Villa, and for a striker, you expect him to be scoring left, right, centre. As we said, working with Smith at Brentford, he knows what to be playing like. And considering he never got that opportunity this season. Well, no, he got opportunities. He just never really capitalised on it. It was just never the player that we wanted him to be. But again, I've already said it. I loved him. I thought he was a really good player at the time. I think he was deserving of a chance. But he was just never going to work out for him. He's gone to Blues. He's gone to Stoke. He's tried to find some form. It's been spurts, but really it's just fizzled out. And I think overall my feeling for Scott Hogan is he's just not really a footballer. I just don't think he offers anything to any team. Which is a shame because I don't want to say that about players. You never want to slag anybody off no matter what. Every time I watch Hogan, I just don't think there's anything with him. I just don't see it anymore. Finally, this is my last player I'm going to be talking about. I think people will hopefully agree with me on this, considering the rumours that we are bringing in Ollie Watkins, which is looking like it's a certainty now. Definitely not clickbait. I believe this is a move that needs to happen. I've already said this multiple times. Wesley, Samatta, Barry, hopefully Watkins now. We've got plenty of strikers. I don't think you need to really buy any more. But in the same time, I do, but kind of believe we need a better goal scorer. For me, this is the move that is almost should be happening. Keinan Davis on loan. Simple, there is massive talent around Keinan Davis. I do believe he's one for the future. We need to keep him around. He's seen it time and time again. He's aggressive, he's dominant, he's strong, he's intimidating on the plays. He can get it into the back of the net, move it through that final third. But it's just, that final moment where he has to get it in the goal, it's just not coming off for him. And I think, again, he's a player that should have went out last season, but wasn't. I think this season he should have went out, but he wasn't. I think he needs to go out alone on a proper season in the Championship. QPR, Swansea, like Ryan Brewster, look what he's been doing. Looks phenomenal now. I think Keinan Davis can do that. 16 appearances, 0 goals and assists. But simply put, I believe in him. He's one for the future. I'm almost confident we need to keep him no matter what. And I do believe, just give him a year in the Championship and he can boss him into a real good player. So really, we'll just go through the players one more time. Try and see if I can narrow it down to that magical 9. Number 1, Orjan Nyland. Number 2, Lovre Kalinic. Number 3, James Bree. Number 4, James Chester. Number 5, going Neil Taylor. Number 6, Lansbury. Number 7, Andre Green. Number 8, Jota. Number 9, Scott Hogan. And although I could consider Davis, I do believe he's going out on loan. The same with people like Engels from this video. I just don't think it's going to happen. But I do believe these are the players that are going to be leaving us in the summer. I'm going to wrap it up there. Hope you did enjoy it. Please leave in the comments down below what you thought of my opinions. I'm not saying these are all going to happen. These are just my personal opinions. I do think we can agree on some of these. But that's the whole point of the video, it's to have a discussion. So let's have that discussion in the comments down below. You can also message me and Nathan on our social pages. They'll be in the description down below. Simply put, if you did enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. You already know what to do. Let's get like spike going. Like spike. But without further ado, I've been Ben, up the Villa with the pride of Villa. I'll see you later, boys. Jimmy on the beat, boy.